Welcome, one and all. It is time for Three Guys Before the Game, episode number 590. That's right, 590. And we celebrate it with a kind of a sort of a double episode. We're in crossover season or combo season of basketball and football, so this will be our UMass basketball preview and our Cincinnati football preview, all for the price of none. That's right. You know how we can do it for free, Hoppy?
How?
We got unbelievable sponsors. May I indulge you?
Please do.
Sure. Three Guys brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. Visit ComaxWV.com. By Gomart, get a Gomart rewards card. Save money immediately on food and fuel, and some great promos in this month of November. Download the app, get the card, or just go to Gomart.com, and they've got all that stuff. Three Guys brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com.
By the way, it's still boating season.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
thanks to this weather, I mean, Brad's going to take out his raft and tie it on the back of the boat this afternoon and just kind of spin around.
Went
Cheat
tubing
Lake.
yesterday on Cheat Lake.
Exactly, tubing.
Water about 78 degrees.
Nice out. Yeah.
Three Guys also brought to us by Tudor's Biscuit World. Start your day the homemade way with Tudor's Biscuits. And by Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond numbers, and a double dose of those numbers coming up in Spreads on Stats. So let's do this thing. Nice to have you back, sir.
Good to be back. Good to be here. Thank you.
You had a very, very fair reason for not being here in our last episode. Now, I mean, you were getting ready for your election coverage. Mm-hmm. I mean, so that is a bona fide, legitimate reason not to be here.
Okay.
Unlike the 99% of the other times. Right, Brad? I mean, that he's not here. I got to go get the oil change. Yeah, I told the guy I'd be there between 1 and 7. I got to go. Yeah.
Somebody asked me today if I could do something at 12:30. I said, nope. Can't do it.
There you go.
Very good. Good
was
dedication.
It some kind of a national interview or something?
No, it was a I forget what it was.
Meeting.
Yeah. Sorry.
Anyway, couldn't do it. I said, no, I got to be in here.
Good job. That becomes a good standard. Like whenever you don't want to do something, you know, someone say, hey, can you? And just go, hey, I'd love to. Doing Three Guys. I thought you already did this week episode. We're practicing. We're going to practice.
Show prep.
Show prep. Going to do the show. Okay.
Practice.
So we have a busy weekend. We've got football on Saturday, high noon in Cincinnati, and basketball before that. Friday evening at the Coliseum, a 7 o'clock tip, West Virginia and UMass. Second game of the season for both teams.
Wait a minute. How are you getting over to Cincinnati?
2 guys from Ohio.
2 guys from Ohio?
Yeah. I got to thank those guys.
Ohio.
Wow.
Yeah. Orville and his brother. Orville lived in Ohio.
Yeah, 2 famous Ohioans.
Yeah, they're famous from Ohio, so I'm just going to tip my cap to Orville. What was the other one's name? Wilbur.
Yeah.
Oh, I was struggling for Wilbur. So Orville and Wilbur, thank you for what you've done. You know what's pretty amazing?
What? Flight?
Yes. It wasn't invented all that long ago when you think about it. And, I mean, in historic terms.
Yeah. Right, and yeah.
You ever think of that, Brad?
No, I don't. Have not thought about that ever
think
until
about it.
right now.
Well, think about it. Yeah, just saying.
Brad's not interested in thinking about that.
He's been kind of very dismissive. The last 2 times you've been here, he's been very dismissive of things.
I'm not
Worried about Corey Kiner and Rasul Diggins from UMass. Thinking about them.
Yeah, I get it.
So
that's you.
Wright brothers.
You're on target.
Not the Wright brothers. All due respect.
Howard Air.
All due respect.
Listen, seriously.
Have you been to the Air and Space Museum in Washington?
Smithsonian?
Well, it's the new edition. It's out
I
near
haven't
Dulles.
been there in a while. No.
It's out near Dulles.
No. No.
Oh, it's fantastic.
But think about this: Orville and Wilbur. First flight, 1903. Kitty Hawk.
Kitty Hawk, yeah.
Lasted 12 seconds. So think about it. In 21 years, It's only been 121 years, and you can go you can go anywhere you want to go. It's a hell of a deal.
Flight would have been longer, but they had to go back to the terminal.
They were waiting for their luggage.
Yeah.
All right. Johnny in the middle here wants to get to work. He's been working on his stuff all day. Just give me my
hear this.
Give me my chance. Okay, first off, we start with HOO. Hoppy's obvious observations heading into the football contest.
It's just an honor that West Virginia can be a part of the celebration of the 100th anniversary of Nippert Stadium, or the NIP as they like to call it.
Yeah.
Noon at the NIP, or nip at the noon. Noon at the NIP, I think is what they're doing.
Careful how you say it, but go ahead.
No, they call it the NIP, Nippert Stadium.
Yeah.
Named for Jimmy Nippert, football standout at Cincinnati, I was just doing some history here. Brad's just going to completely tune out now. Whose grandfather was James Gamble of
Procter &
Gamble.
Yeah.
How about that? Anyway, 100th anniversary of Nippert Stadium. They plan a big celebration. Going to be a sellout crowd. Noon at Nippert Stadium. That's first. Second of all, how will West Virginia respond with a new defensive coordinator? You got a Cincinnati team has Brad, and you're going to talk about this, pretty good quarterback in Susby, who is like third in the league in passing, third or fourth, 15 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, averaging 282 yards a game. So he can toss it around, and we know what West Virginia's weakness has been in the defensive backfield. Now you have a new defensive coordinator. Does anything change? I'm sure you will be addressing that. And then you got to worry about Corey Kiner, their running back. He's a guy that is hard to bring down, third or fourth in the league in rushing, and his yards after contact, Tony.
YAC, yeah.
What is it, Brad? 5-something?
Yeah, 7. So basically 76% of his rushing yards. He's got 600 and some, 500 and some of those are after contact. He's a load.
Yeah, so tough to bring down.
Better bring him down.
Better bring him down. And
West Virginia's been good at that, though.
Yeah, they have.
The run defense has been good. I'll get to that in a minute.
If it comes down to the kickers, they've had some problems with the field goal kicker. 13 of 19. I think they've used 2 different kickers. Maybe West Virginia, meanwhile, 9 of 10. So you give West Virginia an advantage there.
No, it's come down to the kicker before at Nippert Stadium.
It has indeed. It has indeed.
Jonathan Ruffin hit the post.
And right off a doink.
And as Neil Brown said, even though it's the last third of the season, it kind of has a feel of the second half, doesn't it? Kind of has a feel like that.
It's the final third.
Oh, okay.
Well, what's it feel like? No, seriously, Brad, what's it feel like to you?
Do you think it feels like the half? I
think it's the final third.
Because you chewed it up in the first 2 months with that schedule versus the back part of it?
Yeah, and because Neil Brown said our season will be determined by the next 4 games. Now, I guess everybody can say that, but it's still, he's right. You're 4-4. And you're 500. You got these 4 games. You have teams that are playing better than they were at the beginning of the year. So this will determine, starting Saturday, will be a beginning of the determination of how your season will be viewed.
100%.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is these 4 games. These 4 games will define your season.
Absolutely. So, and it starts Saturday with even though Cincinnati's favored by 4 or 5, whatever, a very winnable. Once again, coin flip, winnable game. Can you go in? Get the win with a backup quarterback, and I wouldn't have any I don't have any reservations about going in with Nico for a couple of reasons. One is that he has now game experience, played the whole game 2 weeks ago, and played very well.
He did.
So yeah, you'd love to have Garrett Green. You hope he's well. He's dealing with the concussion or upper body injury, but Brad, you got to feel good about going in there with Nico.
Yeah, we'll get into some numbers on that. What you gain, what you lose with Nico versus Garrett, so we'll talk a little bit about this. Here's another part I thought you might have in your HOO. In an era when traditional rivals are tough to come by, this episode kind of represents going back and playing 2 old rivals here.
Yeah.
Cincinnati on the football side from the old Big East days, the closest in proximity as we know, and then UMass. And I realize you got to be a certain age to remember the UMass rivalry here with West Virginia, but there's a lot of games played between West Virginia and UMass.
Going back to Calipari
This is a good
days.
old school rivalry here, A-10 rivalry.
Yeah, should we just when we misname the show, it should be Rivalry Weekend.
It should have been. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Rivalry Weekend.
So I thought you'd go with that. Yeah. So kind of fun in an era when you don't get a lot of those traditional rivals anymore.
And the Cincinnati game, the Cincinnati has turned into a rivalry. And finally, West Virginia fans, you have an away game that you just go across a state line, not across the country.
Correct.
And a game that West Virginians can get to.
Crazy. It's a crazy concept, isn't it?
Yeah.
15 years since West Virginia's played at Nippert.
Is that right?
Is that what Hunter said last night on Sportsline?
He did say that. So, yeah, so this is the 13th year in the Big 12, and I think we played them here the year before we left.
And it was at Bengals Stadium
it could be
the last
15,
time
it could
there?
very well could be 15.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
And isn't it the anniversary, 1 year anniversary of when Jaheim White went crazy?
Yeah, he had 200. He had over 200 yards. Best game ever. Do you remember when we had him here and Keith Tandy came up and they threw that ball down the line of scrimmage to DJ Woods on a bubble screen, and he basically snapped both of his shins, took him out of the game? You remember
I
that?
don't know if I do.
No.
Oh, dude, one of the great hits in stadium history at Mountaineer Field. It ranks up there with David Mayfield on Marvin Graves. Absolutely does. I just happened to see it. I was over there at the building yesterday, and Blaine Stewart, right?
Sure.
So Blaine obviously grew up in it, and we were brother. I've come to find this about Blaine, like
He remembers everything, by the way.
he
Every
remembers
play,
every
everything.
game, but also one added addition has the video of it on a second's notice.
So you were talking about that play, and he
on a
had
second's
it?
notice, he goes, TC. He said, you remember that? You remember Tandy on Woods? I said, and he goes like, here, watch. And he goes, he's at his desk, and he puts it up onto his thing, and instantly, so they threw it toward the Mountaineers side very early in the game. All week long, we had talked about DJ Woods. He was really, really good. Got to stop him. They threw that bubble screen down the line of scrimmage, and he got bad blocking. And Keith Tandy, who turned out to be a great.
So he came in, bloated up.
We gotta go find that.
Well, now
thing.
I want to see it.
I'll find it. I'll send it to Mary Margaret over there, and maybe we can play it before the show's over. Took his shins out. He never got back on the field.
Wow.
That was it. Done for the day.
Year?
Castile was the DC.
No, let me check.
I'll have to look it up.
Okay.
I'll look it up.
Look it up.
Anyway. Okay, so
Well, anyway, point being, when rivals, I'm glad. I've said this before. I'm really glad Cincinnati's back in the league.
Yes.
I like this rivalry, this opponent. I like West Virginia being able to go over to Nippert. I'm in on this.
Yes.
Hoppy, you in on this?
Absolutely. 100%.
would you care to offer any so this is before you go into spreads on stats. Do you have any opening thoughts on basketball, or you want to what do you want to do?
Let's do football first, then we'll go to basketball. I'll give you an opening thought on basketball.
Oh, here it is. I'm watching it.
Oh, you found it that easy?
Yeah.
Okay, watch this. I want to see his reaction when he watches it.
Oh my
All
God!
right, send it to Mags, and we'll get it up there.
All right, I'll send it.
Yes. Do you got her? You have her email?
I got it.
Hey, Mary Margaret, we're going to send this to you. Play it whenever you get it. Just text us when you have it.
Oh my goodness!
All right, what's your opening
So on
thought
the
on
basketball
basketball?
side of things, I'm excited for this one because I think this is a nice test for West Virginia. One, which we'll talk about. Two, there's been some fun games against UMass. And I'm not just talking about the old school days. How about that NIT game against them here? That was one of those. We've talked about it before in this context. That's one of the great underrated games in Mountaineer basketball history, I think.
Correct.
Right?
That ranks
Like
up there
fun.
with North Carolina State NIT game in Raleigh.
I totally agree. It was fun. They were mouthy and talked, and that crowd was into it.
Yeah.
Frank Young had about 1 billion threes.
Yep.
Just took the team on its back and said, "Oh, is that right? You want to keep talking? I'm just going to keep drilling threes right in your eye."
Mm-hmm.
How do you like us now? So I'm excited for this game. I think this is fun. This is a good UMass team that, if you've mentioned, Tony, in particular, a couple times, how physical they were with West Virginia last year, kind of pushed West Virginia around and big boyed them a little bit at times. And West Virginia now with a chance to come back and get a nice test here for early in the season after the great opener against Robert Morris.
Mm-hmm.
There's my opening statement.
All right. Three Guys Before the Game is brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for about 400 years. About 400 years now. Business owners, if you've been putting off getting a new business phone system, wait no longer. The folks at Comax will come into your place of business, do a complete inventory of what your situation is, and then will let you know, hey, this is what is best for you, and it doesn't cost you a single penny to do that. And they've got every single size possible, from a 1 line all the way up to 1,000 lines. They can handle your needs. They'll give you a price that is competitive, and you can purchase, buy, lease, rent, whatever is best for you dollar-wise. They're ready to do that. Visit ComaxWV.com. That's ComaxWV.com. What's
Hoppy can't help himself now. He's sidetracked by the hit. That was a monster hit.
Gosh, is he available? Is Tandy available?
Tandy's from right in that area. He's from not too far around there. He's in that general metroplex.
He's a good player.
Woods is right now. You see that video? Woods is winding his watch because
he didn't know where he was. Yeah, he took a shot. That was a hit. All right, we'll try
and legit.
Yeah, it was clean.
Clean.
Oh yeah, it was clean. That's why Keith Tandy played a lot of years in the National Football League. See, there's the difference.
You got an NFL player?
People always ask, like, okay, so like, what's this guy in the NFL? What's this guy like? Again, and he was a high school quarterback.
Yeah,
Tandy
he was
a great high school quarterback, and then he comes here and converts to defense and has this great career.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I'm just going to say, like, those are why you got when guys make plays like that in the course of a game. Like, make a note. Those are the guys that are, guess what? Really good. Those are the guys that are really good. And guess what? Unless you make those plays, you don't go into the National Football League. It's like if you never make a play like that or plays like that, it's fine.
And here's an HOO. The more guys that you have that make more plays like that, the better you are. It helps.
Yeah.
You know what stands out there, too, is, Brad, when you watch the NFL and they throw a little swing pass out there, there's a defender there right away, right? Closing speed. Speed. And you watch really good college teams, closing speed. I mean, Tandy, that's what you saw there.
Great closing speed. The other thing you watch, and I get because you just simply will be cut. There's no other way to say it at the NFL. But you rarely see guys loafing in the NFL.
No.
Now, sometimes in the last few weeks of the season on bad teams, you get some guys making business decisions and won't stick their face in there. You see it in college football all the time the first couple weeks.
Yeah.
You go back and watch stuff, you're like, what is that guy doing?
Yeah.
Go hard.
Yes.
Tandy went hard right
How
there.
much tape do we watch? And you'd be stunned if we brought up tape and watch guys loafing, that they kind of like pretend that they're going to go in and play.
Kind of run off.
They have
Got to go hard.
Don't go. They don't go.
More guys you have to go hard, the better you are.
Yeah, it's good sense.
Another HO.
Yeah.
So I checked the numbers.
Yeah, pretty good.
We'll just go right to the numbers. Here comes a heater.
It is time for Spreads on Stats. Let's do this thing. Brought to us by Conley CPA Group. In a word, they're terrific. This is the portion of the show where Brad really juices up his computer and breaks down. So you're going to do football first and you're going to transition? Do I have to play a song twice? How's this going to work?
To be determined. We'll call an audible on that, but we will do football first.
Conley CPA Group provides
Just
value.
do a check with me at the end of the football segment. Do a check with me.
Quiet the crowd, though.
Hey, Brad, give us one of these so you can hear.
Complete service public accounting and consulting firm. They'll come in and work with you one-on-one to give you the advice that you need that best serves your business's needs when it comes to your taxes and what's the best way to structure things. You know that, Hop? Structure is the key to us.
Structure is the key.
Structure is the key. Getting ready for their 40th anniversary, they can outsource your accounting for you and also outsource your CFO services. It's the Conley CPA Group. Visit them. Conley CPA. Audit and assurance, tax planning and prep, consulting and advisory. What more could one want? All right, here we go.
Let's start with what Hoppy started with, because I think that's the story of this game, Hop, at least in the beginning. Defensively for West Virginia, what are you going to get different, if anything, with the change in defensive coordinator? We talked on the last episode. Does this shake the locker room up enough that they say, okay, I got to dial in a little bit more over these next 9 days from the time the change was made? I've got to button this up. I own some of that as well. Or does it, it wasn't me. It wasn't my fault. I mean, I'm doing my job. I don't know what he was doing. It wasn't my job. So what do you get from a player standpoint? What do you get from a Jeff Kuhn's communication standpoint? What did they switch, if anything, this week? Are there tweaks? Do they dial up more pressure than they've done in the past? So just a lot of interesting questions that come about with the defensive side of things. Let's look at some numbers from this West Virginia defense, because it's one of those guys where it's just baffling how good it has been against the run. That's right. I said this defense has been really good at something versus how poorly they have defended the pass. First, the pass. And let's use EPA for a minute. I use that a lot on here. Expected points added, really just a way to look at plays that were very successful for the offense. Okay? So West Virginia's opponents, or take it from a West Virginia defensive standpoint, total EPA versus the pass for West Virginia's defense. Dead last in the country at 134.
Ouch.
EPA per play, 133rd, second to last in the country. EPA per game, 134, last in the country. And overall success rate for West Virginia's defense against the pass, 120th.
It's a wonder you've won 4 games.
Yeah, so that's one of those we say a lot on here. The numbers kind of back up what your eyes are telling you. There's that's some really horrific numbers against the pass side of things for West Virginia, which again, if you're listening to this program, you probably already know that.
You want to know the good news about those numbers?
I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
Can't get worse.
You're due.
So there's only one place to go, man. Up. Can't go down.
And so that's why you look at this and say, okay, what happens? Is there an improvement this week? Now, let's look at the numbers against the run, because these have been in stark contrast. Total EPA for West Virginia's run defense, 23rd nationally. Total EPA or EPA per play, 22nd nationally. EPA per game, 23rd nationally. And how about this one? Success rate against the run, 4th nationally. So you look and wonder why you're a couple games off where you should be. You don't have to go far, right? Even with the offense not being as dominant as it was last year, the pass defense has been that area that's really hurt you. Those run defense numbers are really good. 4th nationally in success rate for your opponent?
If you were 70th in pass defense, just 70th, you'd have 2 more wins.
Yes.
Probably, right?
You definitely have one more.
Definitely have one more.
Yeah, that Iowa State game would have been different.
Yeah.
Or had a chance to be different. I shouldn't say it would be different. It had a chance. So this surprised me a little bit how balanced this was. Opposing offenses are throwing it on average 30 plays per game against West Virginia, running it 32 times. So a little bit of a surprise there as well as West Virginia's against the run. So here, that's the matchup, Hop. West Virginia's pass defense, can it get a little bit better against a Cincinnati offense? You mentioned Brendan Sorsby, who's had a really nice year, the Indiana transfer, who can throw it. He'll also tuck it and run it in high leverage situations, especially around the goal line, but he can throw it really well. Cincinnati's offense, 9th nationally in success rate. So there's what you're looking at. 9th nationally in passing success rate for Cincinnati, going against a success rate defense against the pass in the 120s. What happens with that? If those numbers stay pretty similar, West Virginia's going to have some problems on the defensive side again. Can that get any better? Here's the one area. There's a lot of areas on the pass defense. We know it needs to be cleaned up at the middle, the second level, and the defensive backs. We also need to know somebody's got to generate a pass rush.
Yeah.
You've got to get in there and make that Sorsby move around, be uncomfortable. You haven't seen a lot of that. But here's the one area, guys. Can West Virginia eliminate what feels like 2 to 3 big pass plays per game? Right? As much as Kansas State nickeled and dimed you down the floor, there were still the big plays down the field, and it happens every game, Hop.
Yes.
And you just wonder where this team would be. Would it have another win or two if you just eliminated that? Never mind the other stuff. Not saying you have to be top 20 against the pass. Just eliminate those giant plays. Here's the number that backs that up. West Virginia is last among Power 4 teams in 40-yard pass plays given up. Last among Power 4. There's only 2 FBS teams that have given up more 40-yard pass plays. Out of 134 teams, there's only 2 that have given up more. So the big play has been an absolute killer for this West Virginia team. So there's pass defense. So that's a little bit of obvious observation, coupled with some numbers, coupled with some things you've already seen backed up by numbers.
But Brad, we have the benefit of now 8 games. I mean, you now that's what you are. You know, it's not like 2 games in. You're 8 games in, and that's what it looks like. So now, can you be any better at all?
So that's why the change is of some interest.
Yes.
Because if there was no change and you just kept doing it,
He'd say,
I think you would say, all right, that's in your DNA now. That's just what you do. Does the change any of that, or is it still just your DNA? That's the biggest question going into this game. One opposing player to watch out for. We mentioned Sorsby, you mentioned Kiner, and that's not to overlook those guys because they're both fantastic. But how about tight end Joe Royer? Ohio State transfer. Listen to some of these numbers.
Not a tight end.
One of the best tight ends in the Big 12. They're going to line him up at slot and just as in the traditional tight end spot. They'll do both of those. He leads Big 12 tight ends in first down catches from the slot. Cole Taylor's 4th in that category, by the way. 75% of Royer's catches have been for first downs. Is that good?
It's extremely good.
Is that an important part of it? Here's 2 other stats related to Royer. You ready, Hop?
Yes.
West Virginia has given up the 2nd most receiving yards in the Big 12 on seam routes to receivers lined up at tight end or in the slot.
You say that again?
Sure. West Virginia has given up the 2nd most receiving yards in the league on seam routes to receivers that are lined up either at tight end or in the slot, which is where you'll see Royer in both those spots. So the slot's been a problem.
You think Royer's been walking around this week on campus like with a big smile on his face?
I think he probably says, give me the ball.
Yeah.
And then that's West Virginia's job to stop him. So this pass defense, such a critical part of this game. Royer's a key part. Now, they have a couple receivers that have been very good, too. Xavier Hutchinson has been very good. But look out for Royer. That stat jumped out to me as one that certainly Cincinnati sees West Virginia struggles with that play down the slot. It hasn't always been a tight end. That's why you say it's been the receiver lined up in that slot or at the tight end position. Here's one more concerning stat. No team has given up more receiving touchdowns to tight ends than West Virginia. So something to watch. Watch Royer. Watch his impact on this game.
So when it's 3rd and 7, put about 4 guys on Royer.
Might need to.
Yeah.
All right. So there's defense. Thoughts? Any
Yeah.
other thoughts on defense?
That's really good intel, and it tells you that they got some weapons, and that in an area where West Virginia's been vulnerable. That's your biggest concern, right?
Correct.
Okay.
All right. Let's flip over to West Virginia's offense. And let's go under the assumption that Nico's going to get the start again.
Okay.
Okay, Hoppy,
Yeah,
can we play along?
It's a done deal.
All right, we're going with Nico at the starting quarterback position. And let's discuss this. So what a change in performance for him in particular. And we heard all offseason about how he had improved. And you could see it in small doses. It seems like he's picked up some miles per hour on his fastball, I think, right, when he throws it. That slant's been really good in particular. But he went from a career 53 to 54% passer to 82% in that Arizona game. What a massive change that was. Talk about what West Virginia's offense did last year that it was able to do against Arizona finally. Keep the chains moving. You completed passes, and you didn't turn it over, right? The two best things that Nico did in that particular game. His yards per attempt, we talked a lot about that before the Arizona game. Nico down near the bottom of the Big 12 in each game he's played in yards per attempt. They didn't stretch the field. They didn't push the ball down the field. I'm sure that's in an effort to try and keep mistakes to a minimum for a guy that hadn't played a whole lot. Well, against Arizona, what'd they do? They changed that approach. They opened it up a little bit, started pushing it down the field, and that yards per attempt went from 4.5 to 9. Super respectable yards per attempt with a couple of big plays mixed in there. And he was throwing it extremely well. Guys were catching it and making plays. Does that help, by the way?
Yeah.
Guys have to help the quarterback. That
absolutely.
might be nice.
Yeah.
So they did. So that was really good. And again, we mentioned the 0 picks. That's just critical for this offense. When it does not turn it over, you saw it again. New plays were added. New formations were added. As long as they don't turn it over and keep going, then the offense can get some more diversity into it. Now, what you give up, and we know this, is some rushing ability from the quarterback position. Can Nico run it? Yes. Is he as dynamic a scrambler as Garrett Green? No. Some numbers. When it comes to EPA, back to EPA again, when it comes to expected points added per rush, how about this? Garrett is the best on this team by 4x. His EPA per rush is almost 4 times better than anybody else on the roster. So pretty significant. When Garrett's out, you're not just losing your starting quarterback, you're losing your best rusher, your most dynamic rusher, your best big play guy running the football. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, can you make up for that, Hoppy, with an improved passing game, with more accuracy from the passing game, which you did at Arizona, right? You overcame the lack of big play scramble ability, and you traded that for a more efficient pass game. You're obviously going to have to do that again if you want to try and get a win, but you're going to need some rushing help. This Cincinnati defense with its new 3-3-5 has been vulnerable to the run. They can give up some yards on the ground, so this is also a game where throw it, but have CJ and Jaheim bust some out too.
The running backs, when Saturday is over and nighttime falls and the sun goes to sleep,
okay,
right, about 5, whatever it is, 5 o'clock hour, this game will be over, about 3:30 in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
If when the sun goes down on Saturday,
on Nippert Stadium,
we're not saying that either or both C.J. Donaldson and Jaheim White had big games, then West Virginia probably doesn't win.
define big.
Oh, you have to have a 100-plus yard rusher, and the other one has to have between 50 to 75. You got to run the football.
I agree with that. You're going to have success. So here's some numbers for the Cincinnati defense. They've given up the 6th most rushing yards in the Big 12. They're 109th in success rate against the run. So you've had success, but here's where it's interesting, and I'll give them credit for this. 109th against the success rate is not good out of 134, but some of their expected points added numbers are pretty good. They have the fewest run stuffs in the Big 12 as well. So they haven't been stuffing people at the line of scrimmage or behind. So you're getting positive yards when you run. 14th in the Big 12 in yards after contact per attempt. So you're hitting them and breaking through for some more yards. But the reason they've still had success in spite of those numbers, they've forced and recovered the most fumbles in the Big 12. Do turnovers matter?
Yeah, they do.
They have the lowest boom percentage in the league. That's courtesy of our friends at SIS, Sports Info Solutions. Of course, you already knew that.
How come you always give them credit? Like, of all these different sources that you're always giving, like, what do they watch, or why do you always give them a big kiss?
I give that. PFF we give credit to. GameOnPaper.com.
This SIS, there's something else there. Like, they
have really
kicking
good
you
deep
back,
stuff.
or what are they doing?
They have great deep stuff.
You got, like, swag at home that they're sending to you, or what do you think it is?
Lowest boom percentage in the league versus the run. So, Hop, that's the percent of rushes that result in a very successful play for the offense. They have the lowest boom percentage. So you can get yards, but you haven't got big plays against them. And then generally, somebody's fumbled when you're playing them.
They're the essence of bend but don't break.
Correct. And it's a good strategy, right? If you're going to give up yards, how do you get off the field?
Yeah, turnover.
Right? Limit big plays and force turnovers. There's your strategy.
Sure.
That's what they've done. So the passing numbers for this Cincinnati defense, their EPA numbers against the pass aren't very good. They're in the 90s. Pro Football Focus, however, does like their pass rush and their coverage units. 5th in the league in pass rush, 4th in coverage grade in the Big 12, but the advanced metrics tell you should have some success throwing it against them as well. So we'll see if the numbers play themselves out this week.
What's the gambling line been doing?
Moving in Cincinnati's favor. It's up to -5.
Why?
Home, West Virginia's defense struggling. You've gotten rid of a defensive coordinator. You've got a backup quarterback playing. So some things in Cincinnati's favor.
Okay. Good job.
So there you go.
Yeah, well done.
There's the football stuff.
Kudos to Brad. You want to tell you what? Go to the bench, take a breath, get yourself a drink, and get ready for basketball. Can you bring basketball back here now?
Yeah, let's go.
How about that?
First, let me tell you this.
You don't need a blow?
Let's go.
All right.
First, let me tell you. Just take 30. First, let me tell you this.
Don't need it.
Eventually, it's going to get cold. I mean,
Maybe.
I mean, eventually, it will get cold at some point. Let's just assume. Let's just assume.
Ride that
okay?
Blue Metal Marine, bro.
So here's
all year long.
I'm just trying to segue into the copy. So warm up with your chance to win big with Gomart's Merry Madness. Have you heard of this deal?
I have not.
I mean, there's deals, small d, and then there's deals, capital D. Check this out. From now until the 18th of December, you could score a $500 shopping package or win one of 2 $500 Gomart gift cards. Think enough Giant Slim Jims to last all winter.
It's a lot of Reese cups too.
You could load up. You could load up with 500.
Well, let me just tell you how you do this. Visit your local Gomart, scan the QR code in the store.
Okay.
And let the holiday magic begin. Visit the Gomart app or gomart.com. You can learn more. That's an easy way to, just put your name in there. $500. You could use it whatever you want.
Talk
Gas.
to Mark or Michael here in Morgantown at the store. They'll help you. Very helpful.
Yeah.
Oh, did you just name drop some guy? Now you know the guys?
Yeah, they were very helpful. I told you that first time I went in there.
Well, you
Didn't know where I was
just
going.
went in there and yelled. Did Margaret Ann get the Tandy hit?
Yeah, she's got it. You want to do it right now?
I've
been looking
before we talk basketball, if you got it.
Listen, I've been looking at Hoppy on the monitor during the whole show.
Yeah.
Hey, Maggie, can you cut to him? And I've been looking at that shot. I'm going like, why does it look different? Why does it look different? Because they left the light on behind him that they used for election night.
They did.
That's where you had your little American flag back there. But I kept looking at you. I didn't, like if you had become a clairvoyant. It looked like a veil of light over you.
Looks like
a man with a prophecy.
Looks like I'm being deposed.
Won't be the first time. All right,
wouldn't.
All right, Mary. So here's the hit. West Virginia, Cincinnati in Morgantown, many years ago, and Keith Tandy against DJ Woods, who was a really, really good receiver for those dudes. Please roll the
bottom
video.
Of your screen.
Bottom of your screen, so you see early on in the contest. Out of the shotgun formation, they're going to go with a bubble screen. You got these two blockers, and there's going to be one. So here we go. Watch Keith Tandy come flying up. Throw. Down!
So I see Stu clapping. Let's play that one more time. There's another coach that goes hands up before the hit's even delivered.
Can we run that Bean video again, please?
Sees it coming.
Mary Margaret. So here we go.
Where is Tandy?
Tandy is he's coming.
So what coach
there he
is
is
it?
right there. There he is right. He's just
There's a coach at the 27 here that goes hands up quickly.
here it comes.
Boom. Stu was on it early, too. Stu saw it coming. Stu gave you an arm up before they hit it.
That was, and then there's, if you continue to watch that, they had a teammate walk him over to the sideline. He was just, he's probably all right now. All right, so let's.
Hope he is.
So let's now begin our basketball preview. Now, just one game as a sample size for both teams.
Small sample.
Right? They beat the New Hampshires. The UMasses beat the New Hampshires.
Who's ranked 333 by Ken Palm.
They're not. That means they're not good.
They're down
How
near the
about
bottom.
speaking of basketball, last night?
Yeah.
Columbia beats Villanova
They did.
at Villanova.
Yeah.
That ain't going real well. That ain't going real well. Anyway, what was the biggest insight you're taking away from tomorrow's contest?
Let's dive into let's do a scouting report. How about we do it that way?
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
You want a scouting report on the Minutemen?
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about a couple of their players, too. Then we can talk about the West Virginia side. So you mentioned UMass opens against New Hampshire, won by 30. They got nearly 60% of their points in the paint, up from about an average of 48% in the paint last year. So they were getting to the basket. Got to the rim for 30 shot attempts where they shot 87% at the rim. They were very good in transition, so they got out and ran a little bit. So that'll be something to watch in the game coming Friday night. They were very effective. 1.5 points per possession in transition. Very good. Again, overall offense, the team that'll lead the country this year, Hoppy, in points per possession in overall offense will be about 1.1 points per possession, to give you a contextual point there. So very good when they got out and run. Now, they didn't shoot a ton of threes last year. That's up this year. Again, small sample size, and we'll get to why here in just a second. But up about 11% from last year in three-point attempt rate, where last season this UMass group was in the lower third in college basketball in three-point attempt rate. You're going to see some more threes in the Coliseum coming up on Friday. How about this? This kind of jumped out to me. 56% of UMass's shots against New Hampshire, 56%, came from only two spots on the floor.
Holy cow.
Excuse me?
At the rim or top of the three keys. 25 of their 35 three-point attempts came from the top of the key in the left wing.
Well, the one old boy shot 16 of them.
We're going to get to him. They shot it well from the top of the key, 50%. Did not shoot well from the left wing, 3 of 11, just 27%. So keep an eye on this. All right, this is something to watch. This will be something for you to keep your eye on during the game. UMass against New Hampshire made some guarded catch-and-shoot threes. 6 of 16 on those. Catch-and-shoots where they were defined as being guarded. 38%, so pretty good. But just 4 of 11 on unguarded
That doesn't make
threes.
sense.
Missed some open shots. Players to watch, and this is what you were referring to. Rasul Diggins. He was the A-10's most improved player last season. He came out and popped in 8 trays against New Hampshire, Hoppy. Put up 8. Made 8. Didn't put up 8. He only took 1 shot that wasn't a 3.
Took 16 threes.
Excuse me?
He took 16 threes.
41% of his shot attempts were from the top of the key 3. So push him off that spot.
You think Sincere Harris might be going over the screen there?
I think Sincere probably got this same scouting report that I'm reading right now and said, okay, I got
Watch
you.
him coming off the screen, right?
Yeah.
Well, so if you're going to the game, watching the game, whatever you're doing, so the matchup is going to be Sincere Harris against this cat, and so you'll see Sincere just basically glued to him. See how he does.
6 of 11. So Diggins was also pretty good from the right wing 3. He took another 24% of his shots from there. So he was 6-11 from just those 2 spots. 6 of his 8 makes were from the top or just the right wing. So, yeah, I would think you're going to see Sincere draw him for a lot of the game. KJ Tenner might come in and get a little action on Rasul Diggins. But they also have another point guard that had a heck of a game. How about Jalen Curry? He was an A-10 all-rookie team member last year. Hop, this is pretty good. 12 assists, no turnovers against New Hampshire.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so a lot of times we've seen the first game we saw first two games, I should say, exhibition and the first game, Harris take the point guard to try and eliminate the starting of the offense. So that could be an option, too, for Harris to get on Curry, make sure there's no distribution. My guess would be you start him on Diggins to try and eliminate one of their big scorers. So those are a couple guys to watch. They have some good size. They'll bring multiple 6'10", 6'11" guys at you, so that'll be something West Virginia and Amani Hansberry going to have to draw that big out, hit some threes, open up that passing lane. But this will be a nice match. I'm going to say this every basketball preview. Officiating style is going to be important, and it's really going to matter. These are two teams that want to be physical, or at least UMass did last year. It's in Frank Martin's DNA to have physical teams that fight through screens as well. So this is one of those guys, either you're going to have absolute brutality on both sides, or you're going to have a parade to the free throw line.
I think they let him play.
I tend to agree with you.
Here's why. They know that Frank Martin wants to play physical, and they also realize if they get in here and start blowing the horn on every single thing for what you just said, it's just like they don't want that. No one wants that. Darren DeVries wants to play that same way. He wants a physical game. He needs to be able to bang. So I do think that it will be a blue collar contest.
Both of these teams did not get to the free throw line very often in their first game. Low free throw attempt rates here. So I think that's, and we've said many times, my default right now in most games for West Virginia is going to be you want a crew that lets it go. Because I think the physicality on the defensive end is going to be important. Now, those games against Iowa State and Houston where they're going to grab and clutch and hold you, that I may retract that statement. But I think for a lot of the games, this one included, I think you want to let it go. You don't want to, again, for example, I was watching Georgetown this morning. They're Tony doing a little scouting on Georgetown that's coming up.
They had Lehigh, didn't they?
They did. They struggled with Lehigh. They called everything. I mean, they were looking at players, and it was whistle. I'm thinking, I hope that crew doesn't come here for that game. You're going to want West Virginia to be allowed to be physical, I think.
I haven't seen the officiating assignments yet. You know instantly. You just know instantly. As soon as you see the names, you'll go like, ugh, good Lord.
They let it go the other night. That crew let it go.
Fine job.
Yeah, it was physical.
Let them basketball. Let them basketball. That's what I always say. Just let them basketball.
Well, if they're both physical, then
call it if you need to. But other than that,
there weren't a lot of calls in the Robert Morris game, right? Not an unusual number.
No.
So there you go. There's the bulk of the stats. Again, those will increase as we go.
Who should win?
Funny should bring that up.
West Virginia favored. Ken Palm. And again, those projections are tough, though, now because the numbers are skewed and slanted. West Virginia projected by Ken Palm as a 8-point favorite at this point.
Be a good one to get in the hopper.
It would be.
This is a good test. This is a good test. I like this game.
And then next week, it's just Pitt. Right? Next Friday.
Correct.
Next Friday. So you get a week, and then you go play at Pitt. Who's good? Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
That's a good job.
Yeah. Well done.
Good job, young man. I tell you what, we're going to have you back for future shows.
Well, basketball will get more in depth. I was just, as the numbers mature, we'll get more down in the weeds.
Let's do this. 3, 2, 1.
What? Where is it?
3, 2, 1. Oh, this is the wrong one again.
You didn't
Hoppy, remember this one?
You didn't find the original? Or is this the original?
3 guys on tonight.
I kind of like it.
I just got a right. Baby.
That's good.
I got up this morning.
That's right.
The words were forming.
I hear you.
inside me.
Talk to me.
Maybe it'll stop my mind from spinning.
That's right.
I just want some winning. Yeah, winning.
All I want to do is win.
When I get that feeling, I want textual healing.
That's good.
Yeah. I couldn't find the original because remember, who took all the stuff off the desktop? Was that you?
I mean, it was needed. The desktop was a mess, so it was needed. But I think you threw away the textual healing song.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm sorry. I want to apologize, but the desktop you couldn't find anything.
Agree.
Because some people, when they record something, they just leave it on the desktop.
Some that use that microphone do that.
Yeah, exactly.
That is correct.
So it's just I took my time and tried to put them into folders.
Very well intentioned.
Thank you.
By you.
Now there might have been
a little execution problem with the textual healing.
Why did that way you say that, Hoppy, sound exactly like what I hear at home?
because it's true.
Jones,
And, hey,
Jones' big one on me is always like someone, and I'm not naming names, seems to have a problem with and fill in the blank.
Yeah, it might be in the.
We'll find it. I mean, it's.
I mean, you never really. It's never really gone, right? I mean, it could be in the.
This is the original, I think. Yeah.
In the folder where.
Oh, I found it.
Where was it?
Somewhere. I just did a search.
Right. Put it on the desktop so you can find it.
Here's what you need to know. Textual Healing brought to you by episode800.com. On Monday of this coming week, which would be the 11th, we are going to post our Christmas items, including Mountaineer Munch, which last year it was a crazy surprise hit. It became a global favorite, and we shipped to 43 different countries.
Wait a minute.
Out of the eastern panhandle, this Mountaineer Munch was absolutely unbelievable.
Is that true? It's not
had
true.
Had an unbelievable order from Bali. They just
I've been to Bali.
It was their number one seller, though.
It was.
Right? It
was.
was very popular.
Yes, it was.
All joking
We're
aside.
trying to confirm whether there was 43 countries. We'll get to that future episode.
You're saying I went to Denpasar? Kuta Beach?
Here we go. Texter says, I would like to share an interesting story related to Tudor's Biscuit World, along with always a West Virginia connection. My girlfriend at the time won a trip for her work to Madrid, Spain. Been there, Hoppy?
Yes.
And the trip was given from an advertising company to the top CEOs of a number of different corporations as a thank you gift. Arrive at the Hotel Madrid, a welcome dinner. I immediately saw an older gentleman wearing a West Virginia State gold pin on his jacket lapel. Told my girlfriend, we're going to talk with the West Virginia guy. We sit down, got to talking. Everyone at the table seemed to know each other. Ended up, they were all from West Virginia.
Of course they were.
The guy with the pin was none other than Oshel Crago.
I know Oshel Crago.
Who said he was the CEO of Tudor's Biscuits and Gino's Pizza.
True.
Certainly was.
Absolutely.
Another person was a higher up at an internet company and said they knew my mom's best friend,
of course,
who worked there. We ended up hanging out with Oshel and his wife and his friend whenever we could at the hotel. They were all so much fun. We shut the bar down one night. Oshel would never let us pay for anything. I remember he even wrote down some life and financial advice for me because I was trying to soak up knowledge on his success and wisdom. I've always wished that I'd run into him again one day. Just goes to show, always a West Virginia connection, even in Madrid, Spain. Signed by Aaron in Atlanta.
Former chairman of the Senate Finance Committee, Oshel Crago.
Sure.
Yeah.
And the guy that literally planted the seed for Tudor's.
Yes. Absolutely.
And now over 70 locations. Tudor's Biscuit, they're a proud sponsor. Here, we think they're proud to be sponsored on this program. Three guys before the game. And we encourage you to check out their Mountaineer Biscuit, which was an award winner in a national biscuit competition last March. They won it over 32 other biscuit makers. That was their Mountaineer. So the next time you go into Tudor's to get a biscuit, ask for the Mountaineer. That's the world champion biscuit. It's Tudor's Biscuit World. Check them out. Texter says, hey, three guys. The Three Guys biscuit that you were talking about to be created should be a biscuit brisket with a side of game day grind. Kevin Kane biscuit
on there would be good.
That works.
We'd all agree to that, right?
Yeah, I'm on it.
Texter, I forgot to send you guys this last week.
Yeah.
Your topic, when we were talking about these private scrimmage games that teams play before the season starts, about fouling out, and they just don't count fouls in these close scrimmages sometimes. He said, reminded me of this. I just transferred to Ravenswood High School playing summer basketball. I fouled out with 6 fouls. About 2 minutes later, I was told by the coach, go back in. I said, Coach, I fouled out. To which he said, I don't give a blank. Just a couple of minutes later, I got my 7th foul. I fouled out for the 2nd time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it can happen. Texter, hey, three guys. I had this pop up in my Facebook memories. It's my little boy Wyatt in 2017 dressed up as Dana Holgerson for Halloween. Thought I'd share it with you guys. Maybe our new baby boy that you guys announced for us can be Neil or Coach DeVries next year. There he is.
Is he holding a Red Bull?
I think it is.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the visor.
Dana got a new job.
He did.
This week.
Where?
Nebraska.
Oh, as an assistant?
What do they call these? Advisors?
Advisor.
Advisor.
I think he was an advisor.
He's an advisor with a visor.
Yeah.
Oh, Some people think he might become the offensive coordinator there in the not-too-distant future.
He can call plays.
Texter, 2 things. The time change stinks, and Big Candy does exist. On a recent trivia show, I frequently asked a question: why was daylight savings time moved from the last Sunday in October to the first Sunday in November? That was back in 2007. Answer: Big Candy. They lobbied that more daylight would equate to safer trick-or-treating. So daylight savings was moved. More daylight led to more trick-or-treaters, which led to increased profit for Big Candy. Big Candy was a Tony joke I did not see coming to fruition, but here we are, unrelated to Big Candy. I like what I've seen from the Fighting DeVrieses so far. Here's hoping for a season of exceeding expectations, signed by Tyler and Daniels. I think it was you that
as first reported. You don't get credit for that.
No,
as first reported
that was
by
really
me.
good.
That
He-
was Big Candy.
He called it.
Tried to tell y'all, Big Candy.
Did you have a lot of? You had probably a ton of trick or treaters, didn't you?
Tons.
Texter
Kit
writes,
Kats, as predicted too, as first reported.
It works.
Texter, I went and did my civic duty on Tuesday, lined up, voted. Anyway, I was happy to see and complimented the lady at the check-in desk for wearing the Always a West Virginia Connection 3 Guys shirt.
Not sure the Secretary of State's office signed off on that, but
She made sure that I knew she also had a couple of colors of efforting shirts at home and that she has seen Morgan from Morgantown earlier. Get her on the payroll. She was spreading the good word of the podcast, signed by Eric from
Oh, that's awesome.
Cheat Lake.
I wish that she'd have been in there when I went to. I early voted.
Did you early
Did
vote?
not see her in early voting. Maybe she wasn't working at that moment. That's good. Great job. Thank you for the
Well
support.
done.
I voted 3 times this election, and I didn't see anyone wearing an effort.
Yeah, don't even
Yeah,
say that,
don't do
Tony.
that.
Don't
Right.
don't say that, then people will like, oh my gosh, it was election fraud.
It was a joke. Just a joke. Hello, gentlemen. Logan from Greenbrier County. I celebrated the 1-year anniversary of my podcast show on the 3rd of November. I now have a co-host, my friend Andrew from Princeton, and we have a blast recording and planning our podcast.
They plan?
I would like to invite you 3 to tune into an episode, and even if you want to be a special guest, you're more than welcome. You guys were an inspiration for us to start. I'll be at the women's game Friday 15 and the Baylor game the 16th. I hope to see you guys at the food court. Do you know what times those will be? Appreciate you guys so much. Signed by Logan. There's his pod. He's got a logo podcast. Brad, what is the starting time for the food court for the Baylor?
To be determined, right?
Is there going to be one?
Well,
No,
we're
there
getting
isn't.
late in the year. The weather there's
Yeah.
always a concern.
Yeah.
What's homeless Dave say?
By the way, there was a lady that texted last time you weren't here. She said you need to change Homeless Dave's nickname
Okay.
because she's encountered him on several occasions at the food court. She said the change should be to Delightful Dave.
Oh, he is
because he is a
delightful.
delightful person to talk with.
He's absolutely delightful. He's a wonderful man. It doesn't mean he's not homeless, but he's a wonderful guy. And we heard from him this week. He was
He's in a forest fire.
where the heck was he?
He's
all over.
California?
He's been all over.
Yeah.
Heavy travel.
Back and forth to New York, California,
Well, heavy homeless population in California.
Cheat Lake. It's all there. No, I don't think we're not doing a food court.
Over for the season?
Done.
Yeah, I
Is that
think
for
so.
sure?
Yeah. Oh no, is it?
I don't know.
I know we're not doing one for Baylor
Well, that would be.
next week.
I mean, we're probably done, right?
I mean, had
Probably.
we known we would get summer weather all through the season, it might have been.
yeah, different.
Texter, hello. Here's an idea for this person has an idea to support NIL. Go to the West Virginia Lottery Commission, have them create WVU lottery tickets. You win money, you win tickets to games and merchandise. $2 a ticket, and West Virginia gets 25%. You take that 25%, you pay for your NIL. Let's go WV. Now, Hoppy, you run around those halls of the Capitol. How do you think that one would fly?
That would not get past 3 o'clock for a couple of reasons. Is that where the lottery money goes is predetermined by law. You'd have to change law, number one. And number two, if you did that at 8 a.m., by 10 a.m., every other school in the state would be saying, where's my cut? Can't do it.
That was first brought up about 30 years ago.
Yeah, can't do it.
This comes up a lot.
Yeah, cannot do it.
Mm-hmm.
Texter, good.
Now, you could take money that goes toward billboards to get people fired or hired, and you could put that money into the NIL. You could do that.
Yeah, I guess you could. Texter, good podcast Tuesday. I missed Hoppy's expertise. Monday's game was the first game I saw live. I am a first-time season ticket holder. I hope to see more games with the hustle. By the way, I heard there is a 7-footer from Iceland really thinking about joining Les Mountaineers. Signed by Chuck from Lumberport.
Is that true?
Yeah, Hunter said that yesterday, didn't he, Brad?
Yeah, I got a guy from Iceland.
Yeah, big kid from Reykjavik. Played at Reykjavik High School. 32 icicles and 7 rebounds a game. Pretty good player.
Well, I played in Greenland, came back to Iceland.
He was all land team. Iceland,
The worst
Greenland.
Hunter impression ever.
Let me tell you, if you ever been to Iceland,
Have you?
well, I'm
Through there?
I am planning a trip.
Are you?
Yeah, and I'm not flying there. Taking a Lou Wendell Marine pontoon.
You had me. You got me.
Going to take a Lou Wendell Marine, going to line up wherever I have to put it in, Nova Scotia, wherever I have to put that thing in to get it started.
Nice Nova Scotia. Right?
Because Lou Wendell Marine Sales is the premier pontoon boat dealer in our great state of West Virginia. By the way, I got a text from a dude that said, hey, man, when the leaves fall, my pontoon goes in. That's what he said.
Fair enough.
However, you could still pontoon.
But it's super nice right now. Yeah, you wouldn't have thought the 75 degrees would still be in play.
So when the cold comes, right, you're going to need to get that boat serviced and ready for the off season to get it back into the water next season.
Plus, get the icebreaker equipment.
Get your icebreaker equipment. So Lou Wendell Marine Sales happens to be the premier pontoon boat dealer in the state of West Virginia. You can visit them at their location in St. Albans or at LouWendellMarineSales.com. They've been a lot of fun to have on, and again, this crazy West Virginia connection stuff. I know a lady who grew up with the Avalon boat founders in Michigan.
Right? Yeah, we met her.
We
met her
know her
at
too.
the- you know her.
He doesn't just know her.
Well,
We all know her.
Yes, we all know her. She's a marathon runner. We've met her. We've talked to her.
Correct.
Don't act like you're the only one who knows the Lou Wendell Marine person.
I mean, this might be my last show. I'm just
Well,
I'm
just
about
saying.
tired.
He's right.
Tired of taking this.
He said,
just
I
about
know.
tired.
I know. I
It wasn't
met
a we.
I.
He just said I.
Yeah. We. When we were at the Three Guys tailgate. I'm not the only one
I
that
mean, he can
shows
get
up
mad
there.
at you all he wants.
called
You're
a-
right.
Yeah.
It's called a food court. All right. So Lou Wendell Marine
Surprised
Sales.
you know you were there so little.
Hey, dude. Just because you went from Howard Hughes to freaking Bluto from Animal House, don't be coming on me trying to guilt me out.
I had fun there.
I mean, I got a few things going on weekends. I mean, you do your little coffee pie show in the morning from 10 till noon, opens you up.
Again, other people have things going on the weekends.
Yeah.
Why does he think he's the only one that has stuff
Listen,
going on the weekends?
we do 8 hours, 9
8?
hours.
8?
9 hours of coverage, which you're not familiar with. 9 hours of coverage. You show up about 5 minutes before kickoff, do the game, then get up.
There you go again.
Walk out.
There you go again. Fake news.
Look at this orange behind there.
Yeah, Hoppy. Oh, here's one. I need to counter Brad's counter argument. We're double countering.
What?
For Hoppy's Swiss cheese. Does it actually make sense to have Hoppy's topping choice on every Three Guys biscuit? Having a part-time item would make the Three Guys biscuit a much more authentic experience.
So maybe,
That's actually that's really good. Who was that? They signed that?
Then sign it.
That's pretty good.
yeah, it is.
So whatever it should have one item of Hoppy's choosing that they
Once
the
in a while.
workers just decide to put it on randomly. I'm gonna put Swiss cheese on this one.
Sometimes it's not there.
You order the
maybe,
Three Guys biscuit. Oh, this one doesn't have Swiss cheese. How
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah.
That's a really good idea.
You know what? I sign off on
That's a
that.
tremendous idea.
That's a
I like
great
that.
idea.
Hey, Hop.
It might
well
have
done.
Swiss cheese. It might not.
Great text.
Hey, Hop, Brad and I go to the basketball games.
I know that. You guys were dressed really nicely at the last game.
So, okay, fine.
Is that going to be a thing?
What do you mean?
I mean, shirt and tie and jacket for all games?
Oh, at home?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Serious business.
Absolutely. On the road?
Jacket,
No jacket.
shirt and tie?
No, quarter zips.
Okay.
No,
Or
when we
something
go to
similar.
when we go to Bahamas, it'll be golf shirts.
Okay.
But when we go on the road, regular season road, it'll be quarter zips.
Or vest.
Now, do you
Or
get
a vest. Or a vest.
Now, do you get any DeVries stuff? Because you're so close, and DeVries is working the sideline there. Do you pick up any DeVries
Yes.
stuff?
I picked up something that I thought was interesting.
Okay.
Game one. I didn't pick it up in the exhibition game, but he was probably doing it then too. The game has become so mathematical and analytic based
Okay.
that he's the first guy that I see that absolutely studies the stat sheet right when timeouts are complete.
Really?
They got this symphony. They got Garrett, the director of operations, who played for him at Drake. Now he's the Dobo here, director of basketball operations, Dobo. So it's like a synchronized thing. So they bring down stat sheets from the floor at timeouts, hand one off. Garrett gets it. He comes over. There's an exact spot on the table at the corner of the table. He picks up the stat sheet from the last media timeout, crumbles. He gives it a good crumble to
Does
show.
that first, I think, so there's no confusion
No
on which
confusion.
it is. So he crumbles it immediately.
And then he gives it a pretty big slap down. Like he'll give it a and lay it down there. And like within a matter of seconds, Coach DeVries will walk over just as before the ball is being put back into play, and he will absolutely give it a very, very strong study. Okay, and basically what he's looking at is, okay, where are we and what I think the key metrics are in the game.
Really?
And what needs to change because of that. That's
Is
the
it
first
just a
time
normal stat sheet, or is it
normal,
super
regular stat
normal
sheet,
stat
regular
sheet.
box. The
Regular
box? Okay.
live updated box.
That's cool.
They
Yeah.
bring down the box during every media timeout.
Okay.
And then I'm sure he's got guys on second row behind him that are also
What's-
keeping certain stats.
What's going on with because it's all new. Like we don't know him. We're getting used to him too. What's he doing with players and player interaction and floor talk and those kinds of things?
So,
What are you picking up there?
interesting. Couple things. It's early, so this will change, but super high energy. He told us last week all of the assistants on the bench have free reign to make suggestions
Okay.
because he says there's so much going on. It doesn't matter if 4 people are talking to me at once. He says that doesn't bother me. I got a great filter, which
Okay.
makes him a great husband. I think too, right? Because my wife always says like I get a lot of stuff and no, I don't listen to anything, and I think that's what he also has. That
She nailed it. But
yeah, she hit that kind of
yeah.
Accurate.
kind of on the head. So he said you can input as much as you want. I need to know stuff, but what we've noticed about him is when he gets mad,
Yeah.
when he gets hot, he goes the opposite of what normally people do when they get mad. When people get mad, like for example, you use this studio from 10 until noon, and I'll be up in my office. Like when you lose your mind
Yeah.
during a commercial break, like I can hear it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I hear,
Yeah.
and I know it's on
Sometimes,
for
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
He goes quiet.
Okay.
He does it the other way. Like he's like fused, a fuse. Would you say, Brad? He's kind of a wick that gets lit, and then he quietly goes to the person and absolutely downloads on him with the same intensity that you have when you scream. Only it's more, I guess, more of a welder. He's more of a welder than a
setting
fire.
off an explosion.
Yeah, he's more of a very really super hot flame.
Probably more effective than
More effective, and then it's over. Brad, would you concur?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He not a lot of indecision either when he goes into the timeout on what he's drawn up.
Really.
Like it's down. Here's what we got. Who's in? Draws it.
Based on what you said,
Has
Brad,
control and command of what's going on there.
I think that's really cool to watch, to pay attention coming out of the timeouts, and see what's been drawn up.
Yeah, you're gonna get some good shots.
Yeah.
You're gonna get some good shots.
So whether you're flying an airplane or coaching a team, is to your point, the last thing you need to have is indecision. Like I always use the analogy of the silver-haired captain of an airplane.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like been there, done that, seen everything. So like when the plane's like getting rocked by a lot of heavy, what pilot just comes on and goes, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, we're doing a little choppy air right here. We're going to do our very best to get you back into some comfortable space, and we'll be flying along. Just sit back and enjoy. You need that guy.
Yeah.
And what I see with these guys is they like there's no indecision. They know exactly what it is that they want. There's no like, hey, what do you think? What do you think? It's like, no, what do you think?
The guys are paying attention.
They're locked in.
Locked in.
Yeah, and he was like the other night, even when he put reserves in there, he doesn't back down. Right? He was still coaching them and demanding that they do the things they're supposed to do, even in a game that was already decided at that point. So there's no let up there.
Those are coaching opportunities.
There's for those guys. I mean, that's as valuable minutes for those guys getting in late as it was for the starters at the beginning of the game. Yeah. And Darren treats that as such. It's not just, oh, hey, the other guys are in.
What I find to be very interesting is because we went to so many practices in preseason, I think we were given the opportunity to see the genesis of his culture installed. In other words, like everything is, hunky-dory, to use a word from the 1930s, before you really get it going. And then there came this point when it got real that he just said, no, this is how we're going to guard. And if you don't, then this is what you're going to do. We've talked about this. Just put them on the line. And if you buy a pump fake, get on the line. The whole team's running.
Oh, really?
If you didn't yell out, if you didn't communicate, get on the line, didn't it? But like, it was in multiples. Like, it wasn't every 30 seconds. At sometimes he would pack them. He'd pack them.
We saw one day it was 3 in a row.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It was no play was run. There were 3 pump fakes in a row that a guy went for, and he just run. The team never got the shot off. It was every time. So it's two things. One, it was the consistency of the messaging
of the discipline.
We're not going to just do this some of the time. When we say don't bite on the pump fake, come close out and stay down, we mean that every single time. We're not going to let it get away a little bit just because we're getting ready to scrimmage or just because we're doing this. It's going to be every time. And then secondly, because of the style in which they play and the effort that he demands, you had to be in shape too. So that running had an ulterior motive. It served to get the guys in game shape as well throughout the couple of months leading in there. So it really had two purposes.
Did we say it here? I can't remember from one. Was it you all that said, or I heard you all say, or whatever, that also they practiced with bad foul calls? Was that you all? So bad foul. So you don't react. You don't get all.
Yeah, Darren's talked about that. And a lot of the scrimmages early on, before they had officials coming, he would be the lead official. Yeah, and sometimes he just wouldn't call it, or sometimes he would.
So not react when you get a bad call.
Just keep playing.
Just keep playing. I think what he showed was, and I think he has to do this when he takes a team over, there are certain things that are absolutely, in his opinion, non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable, yeah.
And so here are our non-negotiables. And if you don't do that, like you said, I mean, it's like building a house. If there's a little crack, that little crack's going to eventually turn into a big hole. And he just slammed it down from the very beginning. He's like, these are non-negotiable.
Every time.
Every single time. I mean, he ran their ass off.
Oh, really?
It was as much as I've ever seen a coach run.
Really?
Ever. And with consistency. That's what you have to do. And now I'm sure that's lessened a tremendous amount because now they get it. And they go like, okay, I got it.
You know, the other thing, Hoppy, that he does, his practices clip. There's not a lot of standing around and talking at practices. They move, especially the preseason practices. Well, as you look back on what he was doing to now what they do, what's that match? Matches how they play. Yeah. There's no standing around on defense. There's no standing around on offense. There's constant movement. So you're back to the having to play your way into shape and be in great condition to play in this program.
I tell you, just one game, but that Robert Morse game, because they'd run up and down a little bit, and West Virginia does, and West Virginia plays the way they now play defensively, is that, man, you have to be in superior shape. And when there is a stoppage, I mean, guys are just –
yeah, they were giving it all.
Intense.
Right?
Yeah,
they're leaving it all out there.
Yes.
No question.
Can we get you to a game?
Yeah, I'd love to come.
When was the last time you were at a game?
Remember when Dyke Racey's team was playing for the national championship?
Did you go to Drexel?
I did not.
Oh, you didn't make it to the Drexel game?
I did not.
I thought Coach Spiker had you.
Oh, he did. I had something going on.
Oh, yeah, you were out of town. You went to Texas or something. So you will go to a game.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to go to
some
games.
He wants to go. Brad, he said he wants to go to some games.
Great.
We'll take care of you.
In fact, I might want to go to an away game.
Oh, we'll get you in there.
Get me in there?
Sure. Want to sit next between me and Brad?
Can I?
No.
Okay.
That'd be fun to have you there. All right, you got a deal.
Come.
Okay.
Love to come.
Big news story out of Three Guys today is that Hoppy's going to go to a basketball game. It's going to be great.
I just want to be, but I like the intrigue. I would like to be there, not because I want to be like on the radio, but I would just to hear what's going on, man. I would like to have that.
Sure.
I like to get that texture.
Well, you come to the road game, you'll have a better chance.
Okay.
Yeah. They normally.
If I sit at the end of the bench, it probably won't notice.
No. Just be a student manager. Just put the T-shirt, just put the golf shirt on, and you'll be fine. Just run out to every occasion.
Student managers hustle.
Oh, they have to.
I mean, you talk about a group that gets out on the floor quickly when they need it. Those
guys
managers get after it,
too. It's like pit crew. It's a pit crew.
Great managers.
All right, we're done. Back again. I guess we got to do this thing Sunday, huh?
Sunday.
All right, Sunday it'll be. Recap basketball and football. Three Guys brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. By Gomart, get a Gomart rewards card. I'm doing really well with the speaking part.
Yep.
By Gomart, get a Gomart rewards card.
And go for good times.
Go to gomart.com for details. By Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans, they sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com.
Voted best in the valley.
It comes out better when you slow down. It's brought to us by Tudor's Biscuit World. Start your day the homemade way. By Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond the numbers. By the Spiegel Catalog, over 60,000 quality items chosen just for you. It's the Spiegel Catalog, Chicago 60609. And by Turtle Wax, for that hard coat finish, it's Turtle Wax. All right, special thank you to our producer, engineer extraordinaire,
Margaret Ann.
Mary Margaret Ann Stakem. She's terrific. When's she running in that marathon? Did that already happen?
No, soon, I think.
Pretty soon?
I think so.
All right.
She worked the debate.
She works everything.
She works everything.
Yeah, she does. She was here.
She got more jobs than I mean.
She's on it.
She's old school.
Yeah.
She's actually a young person that has a work ethic. I mean, it's a stunning new develop. Someone that actually comes to work. Like work. Oh, it's a hell of a concept.
Yeah.
All right.
Show up.
Yeah. I got your quality of life right here. All right, we'll see you. Take care.